Good morning. Welcome to Eagle Public Library. My name is Anne, and this is our Craft and Chat adult class. Today we are going to be making clay pot wind chimes. So if you have some of these left over from spring gardening, after you planted items back in the ground and have some cool clay pots left over in different sizes, this is a really fun project to use those clay pots. Also, you can go out and buy some clay pots for this one. That's what I did. I had a couple that were left over from gardening, and I bought some more in different sizes. So you're going to want a couple different sizes for this project, but this is also a cool project to do with maybe just one or two clay pots. You're going to see I've used, I think, 5 clay pots for this one, but this one's kind of extravagant. It took me a little while because I had lots of layers of paint going on and I had to wait for things to dry. So be a little bit patient, but you're going to come out with a cool project with your clay pot wind chimes. So we're going to get started. This is what I did. I found a cool sample online that also came with some downloadable printable patterns. So I've used some of these. The instructions on this one said to use tracing paper. I didn't have tracing paper and it seemed a little complicated. So what I did was I really liked the artwork. So I cut out some of those pieces. So I cut out a couple of the dragonfly shapes that I liked. I like the one with the full open wings, and I like the one that's kind of sideways there too. So I cut out some of these. I cut out some of the butterflies from the butterfly pattern and some of the ladybugs from the ladybug pattern. I think I just cut out 2 basically from each because some have open wings, closed wings, but they just sort of keep repeating. And there's some Bumble Bees that I cut out. Here's the full one, and here is the cute little side view of a bumblebee flying. So I cut those out, and then what I did was I traced them onto the pot. So let me show you the one with the cute little ladybugs. I'm still finishing this one up, so I've got some wet paint on there. Hopefully I won't put my hand in it. And I liked the lettering that was done on this. So I sort of just looked at it and copied that style of lettering, but you can use any lettering you want. You also don't have to put any lettering on there. But I liked that. And so what I did was I took the little ladybug. Let's use this one. So here's the one with the open wings. I just set it on my pot and traced around that pattern with a Sharpie pen. So a Sharpie pen is going to be a really great tool for this project. So I traced that as best I could and decided which ones and where I wanted them. Here's the one with the ladybug with kind of its wings closed. So I traced around that with my Sharpie pen. I modified a little bit, maybe made it a little bit bigger, and then went back in and filled in the wing lines for my ladybugs. So what I ended up with was just a traced pattern of those on my little painted pots. So for my painted pots, I painted them all this kind of mint green or aqua green first. All the paints I used were acrylic paints. So the painting where you see color is the acrylic paint. Where you see black, it's all Sharpie. I didn't use any black acrylic paint. I'm not that great with fine painting and like trying to go around those edges with black paint. I knew I just was going to make a mess. So I tried a Sharpie and that was amazing. It does some nice cleanup and you can get those fine pieces in a little better control than with a black paint and a paintbrush. But if you're good with that, you can also use black paint and a paintbrush to do the outlining of all of your cute little bugs that are on these. So I did that and then I painted. So I did these layers first. I did about 2 layers, I think, of this mint green acrylic paint on all of my clay pots inside and out. So let each layer dry, go back and do another layer. I liked 2 layers because it really filled in all of the clay that I could not see anymore because I had painted it all. So you want to fill that all in. Get your solid color, whatever color you like. I chose this, and then I just started tracing on and painting in those pieces. So I used a tomato red for my wings. This is one I'm still working on. So I haven't finished it, but you can see these guys I've finished. I even went in with the black Sharpie and put some little polka dots in after my red paint's dry. So I'm going to do that on that one too. You can see another one with open wings here where I'm going to go back in and put Sharpie. And I also was able to clean up some of the paint. You can see I didn't do a perfect job painting inside the black line. So I'm going to go back and kind of retrace around that with my black Sharpie and really clean up those lines and then put some polka dots on for my ladybug. And then this one will be done. Then what I did after I had painted each one of these, I did spray them with a Krylon matte finish that does protect your paint and kind of keep things nice, and your paint won't get damaged as easily. And I'm hoping the pots won't crack as easily. It's giving it a little bit of a protective layer. You could use a matte finish or a glossy. I just happen to have matte, so I used a matte finish on mine. Here is one that I just did to add because I had one more tiny little pot. This pattern for the Fireflies is not going to be with the patterns I'm going to download for you, but you'll see those. You'll see a link to this website where all the patterns are that you can print and cut out. So this one I just came up with on my own, and I decided to do Fireflies for my tiniest little one, and I just started kind of fiddling around with drawing some fireflies till I came up with the shape I liked, and then I just repeated that going around. But you could really put any kind of bugs. You can decorate these any way you like. I've seen really cute clay pot wind chimes where they just painted each clay pot differently, but maybe with the same color theme. So maybe some had stripes, some they painted with plaid or polka dots, and oh my gosh, they're so cute. So let's get started putting this all together, and you can see what I've done. I started to get this going to make it a little easier because I figured you didn't want to watch me paint all of these and Sharpie all of these, but you get the idea. So here is the dragonfly one. I just took a piece of twine, probably about 6 feet long, and I doubled it so that I would have this loop at the top that I'm going to use to hang my clay pot wind chime. So I doubled that and put it through that first pot. Here's the dragonfly pot. Turned out pretty cool. There we go, the dragonflies. And same thing with this one. So here's, let's see, here's this one I had cut out. Maybe it's the one flying the other way. I think I cut out 3 on this one because some of them had the body turned different ways. Yes, there is my dragonfly that I cut out and traced. And then I went back in and filled in the lines and colored, and I used the Sharpie to go back in. After I'd done the white, I used Sharpie to go in and kind of make those little creases or veins in the wings, which turned out really cute. So first one, I went ahead and put that through, and then I tied a knot after putting on a wooden bead. I'm using a wooden bead. You could use plastic beads or a ceramic bead, a glass bead, whatever you want to kind of hold that in place so that your pot doesn't slip down this piece of string that we've got through there, the twine. So I tied a wooden bead on mine. You could use a washer even or a nut, something that you have around the house. I just happen to have some wooden beads handy. So I put the wooden bead on, and then I tied a double knot down in here so that my wooden bead wouldn't slide down the twine, and then I can feed my pot right on there and this won't slide out. So I did that with that one, and then I made a little space of a couple inches because I liked that. You can also have your wind chime to where these are inside of each other just a little bit, so if the wind blows, they'll clank like that. I think that's kind of the idea. I didn't really want mine to clank together and mess up my paint, so I'm going to just separate them by a couple of inches. So I did the same thing on the butterflies. Look how cute those turned out. And here's the butterfly that I cut out from that pattern and placed it on there and traced, and I kind of messed with it. I made the heads a little bit bigger and I put some antennas, so you can definitely make this your own, and that's what I did with this. So there I traced it, and then I went back in after I'd done the painting. I went back in with that black Sharpie and really kind of cleaned things up as best I could. So here is this one. This is the butterfly, and I wanted it to come about an inch or 2 below, and then here are the bumblebees. Look how cute that turned out. There are the bumblebees. And I had the 2 patterns, the one with the sideways bumblebee and the one with the, like you're looking down on it, so you can see both wings. I had both of those, so I liked placing those in there. And then I just hand lettered. So however you want to do your lettering, or you don't even have to do the lettering. So I put that one a couple inches down. Let's see if I can raise the camera up just a little bit so you can see these better. Okay, so now we've got this one, this one, this one. And now it's time to put on our ladybug. And then I'm going to put on the teeny tiny firefly one. So let me show you the Ladybug one. I'm going to stick that on there. I have not finished the Ladybug one, so I'm not going to complete it, the whole wind chime for you, but I will post a picture of this completed when we're all done. So just to give you an idea how I did that, I've got my knot tied from the Bumblebee one and my bead, and I did a double knot because I don't want that bead sliding. So there's that, kind of laid it down carefully, and I'm going to finish this one later and spray it. So I'll take this back off before I'm done. So what also helped, on the end of your twine, there were the two strings that come together from doubling it over to make that loop at the top. I taped some masking tape around the end of that, around the end of the two, and made them one piece because it makes it so much easier to thread through the beads and through the clay pots without getting your cord all frayed up or your twine. So we're going to feed that on, and I want these to stay about 2 inches apart. So I'm kind of figuring out the best way to lay these out. Let's take a look here. If this is going to be about 2 inches or 1.5 inches, I want it to be right there. So I'm going to take another one of my wooden beads and let's thread this through. Yeah, I'm really glad I put that tape on there so that I can get my bead in. And I want to get a feel. I'm just eyeballing these. I mean, if you're really careful and specific and you want to measure yours, I'm just going to kind of eyeball because I could always go back and adjust those knots if I need to, if I'm not happy with it. Okay, so let's do this one about right here and we'll see how it goes. I just did an overhand knot in there. Let's see if I've got it in the right spot now or if I messed it up somehow. Nope, that looks pretty good. I might want it up a little higher. So I'm going to just adjust it a little bit. And then before I tie it real tight, okay, now let's see how that looks. If that's where our bead goes and this hangs up like that, that's pretty good. It's still separated a bit, so it won't clank when they go like that, but they look like they're kind of overlapping. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little extra knot in that one. And like I said, I'm going to go back and take that one probably back off so I can spray it and seal it up. But I still need to put the polka dots on my wings for that last ladybug. And I'm probably going to go around and clean up that paint a little bit with my Sharpie. So then we're going to put our firefly on there. I'm going to go ahead and tie these on so you can see the whole thing put together. And then I'll take a picture of it too at the end and post it so you can see how this looks. Kind of hard to get the full view of it in the video. Okay, so let's go. Right about there looks good. Yeah, that looks good to me. Let's see how this looks. We're going to tie that back in. And then, like I said, you're going to want to seal yours with some finish on it, with a little, like this one, the matte finish, some Krylon spray. It does seal your, seals up your acrylic paint really nicely and makes it look nice and new and fresh all the time. So your paint won't fade or kind of, yeah, melt off maybe, I don't know, or wash off if it's out in the rain. It should help seal it up. But I did use acrylic for all of these. And I didn't do anything to the bare pots. I just kind of, if I had ones that I had been using for gardening, I washed them and let them dry. This was a brand new one, so I didn't do anything to them to prep them at first. I just started painting. So I've also seen these where the bare pot, you just would put these right on the bare pot. And you could do that without painting the pots a specific color. I went with the green because I just thought it would be kind of cute, that aqua green. All right, this one's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put one more loose knot in there so I can get this off and finish the ladybug in a minute. But let's take a look. I'm going to try to lift this up really carefully without clanking these all together. That's what I also think that's going to help with that Krylon sealing, is if they do clank a little bit, hopefully the paint won't chip. Okay, so here we go. Let me actually fold this down a little bit. We're going to fold our pots down. They do kind of sit inside of each other nicely. All right, let's see if I can get this all the way up and you can see. So here's the top of our twine where I'm going to hang this. I've got the loop. I may tie like a nice big knot up here too, or maybe put some beads up in here to make it fancy. You could put also a little bead inside as a clapper. I didn't do that, but you could, or you could put a washer inside there, maybe a bell, something that would clap as the wind blows against the string or the twine. I did not do that. So I may go back in there and put bigger wood, one of my wooden beads in there. I've got some bigger ones. I've also got, that would be kind of cool. I've got a spool left over from some yarn that's wood. I may stick that in there. Something that'll kind of make a clanking sound. I didn't really want mine to clank together. I wanted to stay nice, but I do think that would be kind of cute if there was a little clapper inside of there. But here we go. It's hard to see this whole thing, but here it is. Here's the top, and then all the way down to the bottom where our fireflies are. And there we go. And I'm gonna probably put a little something down here, maybe a bell. Might be cute to have like a antique bell or like a small cowbell down here at the bottom. That would be cute. So whatever you like to finish it, maybe some more beads, really anything that you want to do for that is going to look awesome. I'm going to try to lay this down carefully without making a mess or breaking anything or chipping my paint. Okay, this is a pretty cool project. I will get a picture of this and post it, but I am dying to see what you guys make. This one's really fun, and it's a great way to use up some of those clay pots you may have hanging around, or maybe to make a gift for somebody. Pretty fun. And it does take a while. It's a little bit of a project if you're going to paint the inside outside of each of these with the base layer, and then do your little bit more careful work with all of your creatures. Or if you're just doing designs, you could put people's names on them. So many choices. You could put your family name on it, hanging outside your front door. Lots of fun things to do with a clay pot to make a clay pot wind chime. Thank you so much for joining us here at Eagle Public Library. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.